Good morning, everyone. Thank you for tuning into the Bank Roadshow meeting. I'm Andrea Mendez-Barrutia, the Director of Community Engagement for the Hispanic Collaborative. As a reminder, the purpose of the monthly Bank Roadshow series is to support Milwaukee's banking, financial, and frontline entrepreneur support community with in-depth information on the existing entrepreneurial ecosystem programs and services in order to strengthen our community's existing and budding entrepreneurs. This is an informal meeting to share the entrepreneurial resources that we have in our community. This morning, we are welcoming Celia Benton, Economic Development Program Officer at Local Initiative Support Corporation, better known as LISC, Milwaukee. And Celia will present, and then we will open it up to some Q&A. Celia?
Hi, good morning, everybody. Really pleased to be here, and certainly Q&A at the end, but I also don't mind if people want to drop in along the way with questions, either in the chat or just shout them out. And I'll talk a little bit about the organization that I work at, LISC, or Local Initiative Support Corporation. But then I'm going to spend the bulk of my time talking about a program that's particularly valuable, I think, for entrepreneurs. So if there are no questions right away, I will get started. So you'll hear me say LISC because Local Initiative Support Corporation is super long to say. So from now on, it'll be LISC. And our mission is forging resilient and inclusive communities of opportunity across America. And I say across America because we are a national community development finance institution operating in 38 cities across the U.S. Since we were formed in 1979, we've invested over 27 billion, leveraging over 75 billion. Primarily, our focus areas include almost 500,000 investment in affordable homes, ranging from multifamily to sector or person-specific affordable home ownership, revitalizing commercial real estate, ranging in anything from early childhood to schools, small businesses, and financial opportunity centers, which I'll briefly mention again in just a little bit. Our net assets include over 546 million, and we've got a AA negative rating right now. So I mentioned that we have 38 offices. I have yet to visit any but Milwaukee, but they do range all over the US. And we do have some additional affiliates that you'll see over on the bottom left-hand corner, including the National Equity Fund's New Market Support, and then our strategic investments. So when I think about describing what we do, we are investors, we are capacity builders, we are conveners, and we are innovators. And so I would say locally, we're particularly known for our ability to manage public and private dollar compliance. So we raise funds from philanthropies, corporations, federal, state, and local governments. You'll hear me talk a little bit more about how that's operating in one of the entrepreneur programs in just a minute. But of course, we can only do what we do because we work directly with the neighborhood, local partners, right? So we support community-based efforts by helping leverage their work through investments in housing, businesses, jobs, schools, et cetera, to help catalyze the communities that we operate in. So some of the products and services that we offer include investments. So that includes both grants and loans, and then also equity, of course. We do management and strategic services, and we are experts in policy and program development and implementation. So some of our local office highlights here in Milwaukee include 185 million invested since 1995. And then on the program side of things, some of our current priorities include associates in commercial real estate. You know, we all love our acronyms, so ACRE here. And so that is a program in which BIPOC entrepreneurs are supported with receiving their associate's degree in commercial real estate. Yeah, we have many famous graduates doing some awesome projects here in Milwaukee. We also support what we call financial opportunity centers. The two local ones are Journey House and Jobs Work MKE. So this is long-term coaching and integration of financial services to help move the needle on wealth building in the communities that we work in. And we are also engaged with the CDA's housing program, primarily right now through a super cool acre connection. One of my colleagues, or a couple of my colleagues, were recently awarded a government grant to develop some affordable housing with our acre graduates, specifically for early childhood workers. So if that's of interest, Andrea, that can be maybe a different show, because that is not my expertise, but I believe, I don't remember, but a certain number of affordable housing will be built in the next few years for early childhood education workers. We also support quality of life planning, which is happening right now in the Riverworks area. And then, of course, Brew City Match, which is my passion and what I'll be spending the rest of my time talking about. But I'll pause just to see if there are any questions on LISC. And also, hey, Araceli, saw you pop on. Good to see you.
I have a question. What is the quality of life planning?
Yeah, so a quality of life plan is both a particular process that results in a specific plan that is designed to help the communities designate, their future over the next few years. So it consists of the community coming together and determining what they care about, and then how to make that happen over the next 5 years. And I can actually share a couple of examples as a follow-up email on what a quality of life plan might look like, and then the process that's involved with making it happen. And actually, let me just write that down. Any other questions? All right, let's talk about Brew City Match. So Brew City Match is a collaboration. We are a group of 13 partners right now that convene together to fuel commercial corridor revival and the resurgence of entrepreneurship in our target neighborhoods. So we operate right now in King Drive, North Avenue, Fond du Lac, Cesar Chavez, near West Side Riverworks, and Historic Mitchell. And I'll show you a map in just a minute of that. But I would be remiss if I did say this program exists, because back in 2019, we received a $3.5 million Chase Pro Neighborhoods grant to launch the program, and operates in addition to those neighborhoods among partners, including the City of Milwaukee, the Hmong Chamber of Commerce, Legacy Redevelopment, MEDC, WIBIC, and then the Greater Milwaukee Committee. And I'll talk a little bit more about the future at the end, but I'm hoping to see that partnership grow into the future. So as promised, I said I'd show us a map. So we do operate in 6 neighborhoods. The neighborhoods really do follow the bid district in almost all cases. Clark Square being an exception. The Cesar Chavez bid obviously goes down Cesar Chavez, but we support the area that is covered by the Clark Square Neighborhood Initiative, which goes all the way to 27th, and then I think 12th on the east side. Don't quote me on that. And then the bid district of Historic Mitchell as well. So what does it mean if you are an entrepreneur in Brew City Match? Well, it can mean a lot of things, right? The whole point is we are a team of people designed to support you with wherever you are in your entrepreneurship journey, as long as your goal is to establish a brick and mortar business in one of the neighborhoods that we work in. So very generally speaking, if I'm a person with a really cool idea, but I don't know where to go from there, I would likely be supported with some business planning classes with WIBIC. If I'm pretty solid on my idea and I know where I want to go, and generally what I need, I would probably be placed into what we call space matching. So that's where you're connected with the neighborhood partners to get support on understanding the available properties in the area, a little bit of in-depth knowledge on the ownership, and then support with fair market lease review, and then managing the city processes and permits to get you up and running. And then we also offer financing support as well. So that includes grants for construction and pre-development meaning engineering or architecture costs, and then construction, anything related to investment in the commercial space. And then we do offer a marketing grant as well to get you established in your community. And that can all be supplemented by loans through our partners. But again, this is kind of a neat and tidy version. There's a lot more technical assistance that gets involved with every particular person, but generally speaking, if you were to be placed in a track, it would be one of those. Of course, we rely on building owners to be a part of this program. We need to match our entrepreneurs with quality commercial real estate. And so we offer some incentives for property owners to be a part of the program as well. So that can mean, obviously, if you're a property owner in the program, you're getting some really awesome vetted entrepreneurs that are highly supported in being successful in your property. And then you are eligible for the pre-development and construction grants that I mentioned as well. So just a little bit more of kind of the ecosystem that is that helps create Brew City Match. Well, the City of Milwaukee is a key partner, the commercial corridor team. Their goal is to leverage those grants that I mentioned with the grants that the commercial corridor team offers. So they have their storefront revitalization, signage, and on occasion, the foreclosure fund to match or to help leverage the capital stack of our entrepreneurs. Legacy Redevelopment Corporation is currently the primary partner that provides loans for those investing in real estate. And then business improvement districts, support the vacant properties. They help develop the brand of the neighborhood and then facilitate the disbursement of the grants that I mentioned. And then the Hmong, Wisconsin Chamber of Commerce offers our operating loans. So for those entrepreneurs that want some lending support to get their operations up and running, we can offer that. The Milwaukee Economic Development Corporation primarily supports us by their loan loss reserve. And then if there was a particularly large project, they could come in to play with lending as well. I'm guessing everybody on the call knows WEBIC, and they primarily offer the business planning class. And then I mentioned the districts. We also do have the GMC as a partner for entrepreneurs. That primarily means we help streamline entrepreneur access to their programs. So scale up at some of the other like Spark and other programs that they have as a way to really help grow the entrepreneurs within our ecosystem. So some of the things that we've been able to accomplish since 2019, and what's not on there, but I have to shout out, like we still exist after starting in 2019 and having to pivot many, many times due to the pandemic and the other things happening in the world right now. And despite the many changes that we've encountered, one, we've become very good at pivoting. We've also managed to support over 100,000 square feet in commercial real estate renovations. There are more than 160 winners at this point. 95 identify as BIPOC, 80% identify as women. We've helped provide, this number is a little low, I think now, but more than 500,000 in loan capital, over 100 in marketing grants, and then pushing $700,000 in our pre-development and construction grants. That's helped leverage more than 2.7 million so far. So what's next for Brew City Match? Well, we are transitioning to a cohort model. We are learning that it's better to have less entrepreneurs that we accept every cohort and go deeper for them, because the amount of technical assistance we need to provide is more in depth than I think the original group was planning for. So I expect that we'll be launching something like that in Q4 of this year. We recently received a $3 million grant from the state diverse business investment grant. All of that $3 million is allocated for those small business grants that I mentioned. So we'll be pushing out a lot of grants in the next few years. I'm currently fundraising to support the other end of the spectrum, which is the technical assistance or the capacity of our collaborative partners to continue offering their in-depth support. And then something that I'm sure you're all familiar with is developing better strategies to really get some of those vacant properties filled and available for our entrepreneurs. And I do just want to shout out for this group that we do have like our guidelines in Spanish. We are working on our application to be in Spanish. It's on my to-do list. And then myself and my colleague Gabe, who managed the program here from LISC, do speak Spanish. So it is not a perfect entry point right now, but it is available to Spanish speakers, and hopefully it will be an easier access by the end of this year. So I will stop sharing my screen and happy to pull up any additional slides or answer any questions.
Thank you, Celia. So in terms of the applications by neighborhood, are you seeing the same level of interest, or do you have any feedback on that?
We are not, right? So we have not had, well, generally we get a lot of interest for King Drive and the bids that are particularly energetic right now. But as far as like Mitchell Street is a newer neighborhood to the program, so we're seeing, you know, a little bit of less interest at that because they're newer. And then as far as like Spanish versus English, we are not seeing as many Spanish speakers as we would like, but we have secured a marketing firm, Athena, to help us strategize how to better reach more people in different with different languages. And then as far as the requirements to apply, we're really trying to be equitable about that. So it consists right now of an application that's pretty long that you fill out to the best of your ability. So almost nothing is required. The idea being that if you have a business plan and you can attach it, great. If you don't have that, but you just want to tell us what your idea is and why you think you'd be a good community partner, you can do that. And then we take that information as a selection committee. So our collaboratives partners meet every quarter. And then we really do review every single application and talk about the best way, whether or not we could be supportive or if another program or person might be a good contact. But if we do feel like we can help you, we'll determine kind of what track we feel like you'd be a fit for based on what we know right now. So business planning, space matching, or financing. And yes, I'd be happy to send, I'll put in the chat, it's brewcitymatch.com. And then in order to apply, you do have to register for our platform, which is called Submittable. But the nice thing is you can have your application saved and fill it kind of as you are ready. But again, that is not in Spanish. So if anybody did want to apply, you could refer them to us to help kind of navigate that.
And the deadline is September 1st for the new, will that be the new cohort?
So right now, our applications are every quarter, assuming that we stick with that for the cohort model. The application for the cohort model would be due December 1st. Okay. Don't hold me to that. I'm hopeful right now that as of September, we'll be able to launch the cohort, but you can imagine that scheduling 13 people together to make some tough decisions can take some time.
Got it. And then Pamela Bell is not here, and I'm just being here and asking, I think, a really great question, which is, how can we support you?
Yeah, so obviously, please refer entrepreneurs to the program that you think might be a good fit. If you have ideas on, as I said, I think I'm hopeful that we can expand our partnership. If you have ideas on, you know, if you want to vet potential partnerships in the future or ideas on how it might look. If you have any ideas on commercial property revitalization or connections to some major property owners in the neighborhoods that we work in, to be frank, that is our biggest hurdle, is that we have more entrepreneurs than ready to go commercial real estate, and something that we think about a lot. And then of course we are fundraising. So if anybody has suggestions on how we can fundraise for that technical assistance portion of our work. This is a big program to run. We expect partners to kind of go above and beyond what they normally do to make the entrepreneur successful. And so you can imagine it takes a lot to make it successful. And then, yeah, I'm sorry.
That there is a link to the presentation in the chat?
Yes, and I can put it in again, and when I send that quality of life plan example, I can send
Yeah,
the link again
I can
to
send
the website. And I can certainly, well, you have the presentation, so I don't need to send that.
Yes.
And then is it for existing businesses? We welcome right now, and I don't know if this will change in the cohort, but right now we welcome both existing businesses that want to expand, meaning they want to either invest in their space or grow their capacity as a business, or businesses that are starting out and have a great idea and want some support, getting some foundations under them to get established in a commercial space. As far as which businesses have gated success in help, that's a great question. I don't know if there's like a particular sector that's done really well. We have seen like some of the service industry people, like the Bronzeville Collective being a particularly famous one, do well. Yeah, let me think about as to whether or not there's a sector. I will say the restaurants, we get a lot of interest, but that is a tough one. Because if you are a new restaurant owner, we often see people get overwhelmed by the investment they're expected to make upfront. And they generally hope to find a turnkey restaurant to get into, and that almost never happens. So that would be a sector that's probably on the tougher end of the spectrum. As far as a cohort in Spanish only, yes, Araceli, 100%. We do offer the business planning class through WIBIC in Spanish only, but that is not enough. I would love to have a Spanish cohort. So yeah, thank you for that. Yeah, and then how we perform outreach. To be frank, it's dependent on the capacity of the neighborhoods right now. And we know that a neighborhood like Mitchell that has one employee versus a neighborhood like Narrow Side that has several can be challenging. And so something that I'm thinking about for our own capacity is how we can be more supportive in getting the word out. And so what that means is myself and my colleague Gabe right now are on the ground talking about the program on Mitchell Street to some of the current owners, and then working with Athena Communications on getting the word out. But it is something we have room to grow in for sure.
These are some really great questions. Any final question?
Yeah, Marina, I would love to see some more support happening in Mitchell. So if you know anybody, commercial property owner, entrepreneur that wants to go there, yes. And then for the restaurant, do they have to? Oh, great question. So as an entrepreneur, you can either rent or own. We don't have any requirements. Almost all entrepreneurs want to own, but there's some tough decisions to make as far as whether or not you want your startup capital to go to managing a property versus your business. So I tend to recommend that they rent first when feasible. But almost all entrepreneurs that I've met with want to own or have the option to own in the future. It makes the program a little bit easier on our end, but you can either rent or own as an entrepreneur. And yes, we will, our grants for construction support the entrepreneur if they rent or own. We really do try to be equitable about how the funds are allocated. So if there's a commercial property owner and an entrepreneur working together and say they want to have a restaurant, we would take a look at the lease, get to know the property owner, and really do try to put the grants in the hands of the entrepreneur as much as possible. But as you all know, every lease is a little bit different. A relationship is a little bit different. So that's decided on a case-by-case basis. But the money itself can go to an entrepreneur project if they rent or own. And yes, repairs would be included.
Any final questions? Well, we really appreciate your time this morning, Celia, and we can share the information afterwards. This is also recorded and it's uploaded to our Hispanic Collaborative YouTube channel. We have a new website, and so I have not been able to complete that Bank Roadshow page, but as soon as I do, everyone will know, and I hope to put them all there with some of the great questions that have been asked since we've been doing this series. And again, thank you all for joining us this morning. Thank you, Celia, for your presentation. We hope everyone will tune in next month on Tuesday, August 23rd for the next Bank Roadshow meeting. We will have Milwaukee Community Business Development Partners as the featured presentation with Marina Borges. So we look forward to seeing you next month, and I hope everyone has a great day. Thank you very much.
Thank you all so much. Appreciated being here. Bye.
Have a great day, everybody.
Thank you.